Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel, and if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give me a like. Well, it was announced that Tim Norman, the co-owner of Sweetie Pies restaurants, which if you are super fans of the reality show Welcome to Sweetie Pies with him and Miss Robbie, Charles, Andre, and you know, the whole family on there. I used to faithfully watch that show. Well, he has been convicted on all 3 accounts. Count 1, murder for hire resulting in death. Count 2, conspiracy to commit murder for hire. And count 3, conspiracy to commit mail and or wire fraud. He was convicted on all 3 accounts for orchestrating this whole thing to take out his own nephew. Now, if you don't know, back in 2020, I forget what month it was, but back in 2020, it went crazy, like breaking news, like jaw-dropping news, that they had, the federal government had arrested, the FBI and everything had arrested 4 people in connection with Andre Montgomery's death. The first one was Terica Ellis. She was the one that lured Andre out of the house where he ultimately was killed. The second one was Travell Hill. He was the actual shooter. He was the one who actually killed Andre. And it was Wael Yagnam. He was the one that submitted the fraudulent insurance application to get the $450 insurance policy on behalf of Tim on Andre. And the last one was Tim Norman, the uncle of Andre Montgomery. All 4 of them were arrested back in 2020. And when I tell you, it was unbelievable. Andre Montgomery, he was killed back on March 14th of 2016. And 4 years later, they ended up getting all the people involved. And if you don't know Terica Ellis, she pleaded guilty. Travell Hill, which was the shooter, he pleaded guilty. Wael Yagnam, which was the insurance guy, pleaded guilty. And Tim was convicted on all 3 accounts. So they got all of them. And I remember, because I used to faithfully watch the show. I loved the show. It was a good, lighthearted show. It was about, you know, family. You know, it was about Miss Robbie and her struggle to, you know, make ends meet. And, you know, she was with Ike and Tina, and then that fell off. And then she, you know, started her own restaurant business and became super popular in St. Louis. And then, you know, they got picked up for a show. So the show was really good. I used to watch the show all the time. And so it was so hurtful when Andre passed away. It was just so sad, because I think, in my opinion, him and Charles was like the fan favorites. They were so funny together. Andre, he was so goofy, he was so silly, and he was always with that big old smile, and you know, everybody just loved him on the show. Him and Charles, they were like the fan favorites. So when it came out that he was killed, it was so sad. And then fast forward 4 years later, knowing that his own uncle was the one who masterminded that, oh my gosh, it was horrible. And then the evidence that came out that supported the reason why they arrested Tim and all of those people, it was astounding. They had so many phone records, they had flight records, they had Travell even admitted it on a phone call in jail to his brother. I mean, the evidence that they have, it was just so crazy. And us, as you know, viewers of the show, fans of the show, when it came out, we were like, I know I was so shocked. But then once the shock wore off, I totally can see that Tim doing that, because for one, Tim was in jail for 10 years prior to the show. They mentioned that on the show. I believe it was for robbery or armed robbery or something like that. He was in prison for 10 years. If you guys remember that episode where Charles and Andre came running into Miss Robbie. Miss Robbie was at Janae's house, looking after little Timmy, and they came running in there, and she's like, "What's going on?" And they were crying. They were so upset. They was distraught, and they were saying that Tim was beating up on them. And Miss Robbie, she was like, "Oh, I'm about to go see what he, what's up with this." And so she went to the restaurant and confronted Tim in the office. Of course, they closed the doors. We couldn't actually see, the camera wasn't in there. But basically, he was like, "They need to be a man. You need to stop babying them," and all this kind of stuff. So right there, he was arrested before, served prison time. He actually Charles and Andre actually said that he put hands on them. Remember, Ms. Robbie had to actually sue him in court, and she won. Sue him because he kept opening up restaurants in her name, using the money, just creating all of these restaurants. Like, he would put a restaurant up before that one wouldn't even get developed. He'd be opening up another. So she actually had to sue her own son. And then, if you guys remember, he used to date Jennifer Williams from Basketball Wives. And remember, she had to get a restraining order against him, had to go to court because he was threatening her, he was stalking her, harassing her, she said he was just being very, very mean and evil and quite scary to her. So all of those things we knew as, fans of the show and everything. So we knew that. So when that news broke, we was like, "Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes." And especially with the evidence, they had the text messages and the burner phones and Tim's location and Terica's location and Travell's, and oh my goodness, it was just so crazy, and it was just so sad. But today, Andre got justice. So I had been keeping up with the trial from Chronicle Speaks here on YouTube, Randomness Avail here on YouTube, and Today's Celebrity News here on YouTube. They were actually inside the courtroom this whole time, and they was reporting back what was going on in the courtroom. And so once the things that came out in the court documents and everything, one thing that really shocked me and really made me look at Miss Robbie in a different way, Andre had text Miss Robbie, because the whole thing was they were blaming Andre for Miss Robbie's home invasion. If you guys remember on the show, Miss Robbie home was burglarized. They stole money, they stole items and everything. So basically, what I believe, in my opinion, Tim was the one who did it and set up Andre. So basically, I'm pretty sure Tim was in his mom's ear convincing her that Andre was the one who did it, because shortly after that happened, Andre went back to Texas. So it looked kind of suspicious or whatever, and I guess Miss Robbie Miss Robbie was believing, you know, I guess people in the streets or whatever. And if it, you know, it didn't look good that Andre kind of like left right after that. So it was revealed that Andre and Miss Robbie were texting, and Andre actually stated in the text to Miss Robbie, "Tim is after me." And Miss Robbie was trying to get Andre to come back to St. Louis so he can take a lie detector test, so it could kind of like, you know, ease her mind or whatever. And in those messages, Andre is saying, "Grandma, I didn't do this. I did not do that. I would never do that. Tim is after me." And so when those text messages got revealed, I was just thinking like, wow. Andre's sister and, you know, the family, the Griggs family, said that Andre said, "If anything happened to me, Tim did it." Oh, that's just so sad. That is just so sad. He knew, and he reached out to Miss Robbie for help. And according to the family, the Griggs family, nothing was done. He knew that Tim was out to get him. So I was just thinking like, wow, when that happened, because Andre ended up saying, "Okay, Grandma, fine. I'll come back to St. Louis and I'll take the lie detector test." And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was either 3 days later or 4 days later, he was killed. So I was thinking, I was like, wow, with Andre saying that in the text message to her, when she found out of Andre's passing, I wonder was her first thought was, "Oh my gosh, did Tim have something to do with it?" And I don't know, it just made me look at her in a different light. Like, your grandson, you know your son's past, you know his type of personality. I'm pretty sure he was saying, you know, things about Andre. And for Andre to be scared and fearful for his life because of Tim, I was just like, wow. But of course, you know, throughout this whole situation, Miss Robbie has stuck by Tim. She says she is sticking by Tim. So after the verdict was read and the jury deliberated for 3 days, and to us, the public, the people that know this situation, has been following this situation, it was like open and closed case to us. Like, all of these evidence, and you know, it was just clear to us. But what I had to kept reminding myself, because I kept like looking at the updates from like Chronicle Speaks. She was updating all the subscribers of hers and letting us know like, the jury is asking for this, then the judge will give it to him. Then the jury is asking for this and this and this, and questioning what this mean. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like on pins and needles, like, oh my goodness, please don't let this man get off. But what I had to keep reminding myself is, the jury, supposedly, they don't know about Tim. They don't know about the show. They don't know about his past. They don't know anything. They just know what was presented in court, and that's what they have to go off of. But us looking at the situation, we're like, oh, it's clear that he is guilty. Just please bring justice to Andre. And thank God it was. But after the verdict was read, the Griggs family, which is Andre's mother's side of the family, they came out and spoke to the public. So the sister, she was saying some jaw-dropping things about Miss Robbie, and doesn't make Miss Robbie look pretty good. I'm pretty sure you guys can go and find them on YouTube. I don't want to put them here because I hear Miss Robbie is suing YouTubers, so I didn't want to put the video there. But you guys can do a quick search and you'll be able to see what Andre's sister said. It was Andre's sister who spoke to the media, his aunt, and his mother, Michelle Griggs. She did just a little bit. She wanted to thank everybody for their support and their prayers. And she said she just feels like a burden has been lifted off of her. And the Griggs family basically was saying that Tim actually testified in his trial. He went up on the stand. Like, seriously, dude, he went up there and basically him and his lawyer was trying to paint him out as the caring uncle. He's he's rich, he doesn't have to worry about money. He was trying to be a mentor, and I'm using quotes on mentor. He was, Andre's mentor, and he basically take guys under his wing and help him out, and he's just so caring and giving. And so he doesn't have to worry about money. Like, why would he need to take out an insurance policy, to get money? Money was, he was good with his finances. Basically, that's what they were painting a picture of in the courtroom. But then the prosecution, when she was able to cross-examine, is it cross-examine? What, you know what I mean? When it was her turn to go up there to speak to Tim, she basically says, so you were good with your finances? And he says yes. And she goes, well, can you explain this $200 and something thousand judgment you have against you for American Express? And it's like, whoop, that doesn't sound like you are really good with your finances. And then she pulled up a text message between Tim and Charles, where Charles' car was impounded, and he texted him and asked him for, I think it was like either $1,500 or $1,900, something like that, to help him get his car out. And Tim was telling him, no, he doesn't have it. He got to pay this restaurant, that restaurant, and he's about to I don't know, he said evicted from his apartment. He's something about he got to sell the motorcycle, so he ain't got it. So the prosecution is like, well, this is saying that your finances wasn't all what you and your lawyer painted it out to be. Looks like you were struggling for money here. So it was crazy. And then for him to actually take the stand in his trial, that really says something. It's like, I know people always talk about, oh, he's just a narcissist. They love that word narcissist. But I mean, in this case, it is very fitting. And then the ultimate, when the mugshot came out, he's literally smiling in the mugshot. You have been arrested for conspiring to take out your nephew, and you smiling in your mugshot. My goodness. So Terica and Travell, I believe they will be sentenced next month. And Wael will be sentenced sometime after that. And Tim will be sentenced on December 15th. Travell, I believe, the one that was the actual shooter, I believe he's getting like a mandatory life sentence, so he's never getting out. So we'll have to see what Terica Ellis get. Remember, she was the one who got in contact with Andre. She asked him where was he at, lured him out the house, and then of course Travell was the one who actually killed Andre. And then Wael Yagnam was the insurance guy who submitted the fraudulent. And oh my gosh, guys, it came out in court that I believe it was 4 days after Andre passed away, Tim was trying to cash in on the policy. So it came out in court that Tim and Wael, they tried, I believe it was 5 different insurance companies trying to, get a claim on Andre. And that last one that they tried, they actually went through with the application, and he got a $450 $450,000 policy. That one actually went through. But 4 days later, it was either 3 or 4 days later after Andre passed away, Tim tried to cash in on that because Tim was the sole beneficiary of Andre's policy. Not Andre's mom, only Tim. Okay? 4 days later after Andre passed away, he tried to cash in on that policy. And he never got the money. The insurance company hadn't paid the money out to him. So Tim, oh my gosh, the audacity. So Tim hired a lawyer, or one of his lawyers, to go after the insurance company and basically threaten them and say, you guys are, being unlawful. Like, why aren't you giving my client his payment? He actually threatened them with the lawyer. So when they did that, that sent up like a flag to the insurance company. So they was like, oh, heck no, we really ain't about to send you no money now. And the insurance company, they were, one of the representatives was in the court, and they actually testified saying that Tim hadn't even been cleared of, as a suspect yet. So they cannot pay out a policy if the people involved haven't been cleared of the crime. So after all of that he did, he didn't even. It's just so sad to say, he didn't even get the money. He orchestrated this whole thing and didn't even get the money. He paid Travell Hill $5,000 to do that. He paid Terica because it came out in court that Terica was a stripper and he would pay her to have relations, and Terica wanted to open up a boutique or something, so he gave her her regular fee plus some. So I believe it ended up being like $10,000 he gave her. I don't know what he gave YL, the insurance guy or whatever. And then he didn't even receive the $450,000. Just took his own nephew out, and it came out in court. The prosecution was saying that Tim was, he was the mastermind, which we know, but Tim was the mastermind behind this whole situation. She said that every person involved didn't know about the other person. So he was just giving them just enough information for them to go ahead and do their part in this, and he was the mastermind behind this whole situation. And Tim got one of his friends, I believe it was DJ Beats he goes by, to get the $5,000 and give it to Travell. And the friend testified in court that he said that just seemed a little weird to him, so he took a picture of the money. I guess in a little pouch or whatever. He took a picture of the money, wrapped up in the little bands, however they do it. He took a picture of it, I guess, just for his own safety, or I don't know. He just said he got a weird feeling about it. So then when it was time to give the money to Travell, he took another picture, or Travell took a picture, some kind of way it was. But the prosecution was able to match the picture that DJ Beats took and then the picture that Travell took, and that was the same money. And it also came out in court. I can't remember if it was DJ Speed's testimony or if it was in actual text messages, but it came out that I believe it was DJ Speed's testimony, which was, he was like Tim's friend, right hand man. He was like his money man or whatever, and testified, I guess, when DJ Beats got wind that Andre had passed away, I guess he called Tim, or he talked to Tim. I don't know if he was in Tim's presence when he found out or he had called Tim, but he basically said like, dang man, oh my gosh, like your nephew Andre, oh my gosh, you know, he died. And he said that Tim said, F him. Like, what? This man is diabolical. That's what he said. F him. And then Andre's mom, Michelle Griggs, testified that Tim never said anything to her until the funeral, the day of the funeral. She said all he said was, sorry for your loss, or my condolences. Some just, you know, a generic thing. Never said one word to her. Only at the funeral he just said those few things. And a little tidbit, they said in court, Tim had an outburst. I believe it was when Travels was up there testifying, or it was after Travell testified. I don't know when it was, but he had an outburst. I didn't do it. Like, please. So it was horrible, and it's really sad because Tim has really caused, you know, so much pain to the Griggs family and to the Montgomery family. You know, it's sad to the Montgomery family knowing that their uncle, their cousin, whatever Tim is, you know, their son, Miss Robbie, knowing that he did that to another family member, to her grandson. And then the Griggs family is, you know, saying, you know, they will never get back Andre. And it is just so sad that him greed and jealousy, because Andre's aunt was talking to the press, and she was basically saying he got Andre killed because of greed and jealousy. She said that he was jealous of Andre. And on the show, you could kind of see that a little bit, because Miss Robbie, that was her grandson. She loved him. She, you know, helped him graduate. She brought him brought him to St. Louis because I guess he was getting in some trouble back in Texas. So she brought him to St. Louis to give him a better life, you know, show him a better way. And it's just so tragic how the Sweetie Pie, welcome to Sweetie Pies, and the Sweetie Pies legacy is going to be remembered for this heinous act over greed and jealousy. It really is sad. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to talk about this situation because I was an avid watcher of Welcome to Sweetie Pies, and it was just so heartbreaking when Andre passed away, and it was just so shocking and unbelievable knowing that Tim, his own uncle, was the one who orchestrated his death. So thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.